good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Robert Gabriel, and I have Tony Peterson on the line with us. He will be the co-host. I will introduce Tony later after we get started here. Today's seminar is going to be split into reports, and we're going to be talking about sending a statement to patients and how important that is. Now, just a couple housekeeping. This is my contact information. I'm the president and CEO of Microwise Technology. You can contact me anytime. This session is getting recorded and it will be made available public. The disclaimer here, anything you learn in the seminars, you need to verify yourself. Microwise or Billflash cannot be held responsible for any loss of data or revenue. The agenda today is reports, reports, reports. I've been doing this 21 years, and no matter how much reports we have, people want more reports. We're going to talk about some of those challenges. Now, I just wanted to do a couple surveys just to get a feeling of who we have on the call and what you guys doing now. So the first question is, I want to know what version of Medisoft you're using. You should be seeing questions on your screen. If you cloud, doesn't matter what version, just say cloud. If you're not in the cloud, just tell me what version you have. So we got a nice even distribution here. So it's almost a little bit of everything. So we got 21 cloud, 16%, 23, 26 to version 22, 16, 21, and 21 of 20 and older. Great. In any report, most reports, you will see date created and date from, and sometimes that date created and date from is the date that you entered it, the date from is the day of service. And if you use both, it's an and it's the example I was giving you. If I say, give me every Tuesday, you went to work and it was sunny. So that's an and. It was a Tuesday and you went to work and it was sunny. So you're going to get less options than if I tell you I need a list of all the Tuesdays. So that's what an and condition is. And in Medisoft, every time you enter a field, this is considered a field, it means an and. The other thing is if I start with something here, a code or a number, and I leave this blank, that means give me from that code all the way to the bottom or to the end. So those are just basic 101. There's two different type of reports. I think unless you have questions about Medisoft that's built into Medisoft, I will cover that. But I'm going to cover today is the reports that adds up here. And just to give you a little history, Medisoft went from a private sector to public sector at one time. And when one of these presidents of CEO, I don't remember his name, that he knew that Medisoft needed more reports, and he went and created a company called Focus Reports. So that's why you're going to see a lot of stuff called Focus. Medisoft over the years, and I think Tony Peterson was one of that decision maker. Tony Peterson with us on the line today, and Tony actually is the veteran executive of Medisoft, and I think he was one of the people that made that decision to acquire Focus. And now it's bundled into your Medisoft because people could not have enough reports. But doesn't matter how much reports came from Focus. So those are all standard report came from Focus, except the custom ones. So the custom ones, I've been doing Focus designing reports for over 15 years. And this is not everything I ever designed or ever get a developer to do for me. Those are probably the most comprehensive one or the most useful one. So if you have Medisoft Cloud by Microwise, we will include any and all of the custom report that I'm going to talk about today. Or you can buy one by one reports and I'll tell you how to do that. First, I divided the reports into different segments. Those are aging related. So those are different aging from what you have. Those are reports that you can export into a spreadsheet and utilize in Excel. Those are reports for MIPS and macros, and if you're not having an EMR, then those are payment related report, and those are report that I think are repetitive, but there is a lot more repetitive than that because I've been doing this for many years. But the one common thing that I get over and over again, people will ask me for a report, wonder why nobody else asked for that, and they just want it exactly the same way they thinking. And while most of them are a really good idea, is sometimes you can get the same information from different reports, but if you're really stuck on how to get the format the way you want it, then that's what custom report is for you. So today we're going to talk about custom report, unless you have a question about any of the standard reports that we have in Medisoft or in Focus Report, just like by the Dymo printers or any of the other one. So I'm going to start with some custom reports here. So this is just an appointment list, and you point what date of appointment and you get it. Now, I don't think I have appointments for today. So in this report, you're going to see the list of appointment and the balance and copay for each of the patients. This is attorney related report. This is billing by code. Now, whenever in the design of, sometimes we customize report where people want to put a date range, but they want to pick random procedure. So if you click on something like that, and if I want, let's say this code, I will hit OK and I will add it to the list. Then maybe I want something else. It's not in the range, but it's in a different range, and I can add it to the list, or I can remove it from the list. I'm just going to get something I know that it will be there. So let's say 99213. Okay, so I'm going to hit OK and I'm going to add it to the list. So that's enough. I'm just going to run this report, and this particular report is going to give you the code, the name of the patient, the chart number, and the total bill. If this is something you want, we have it for you. Reports 101. When you are in this segment of the reports, if I click on the magnifying glasses, I will be able to modify the report by maybe adding another code or remove a code if that's what you want. So you don't have to rerun the same report. So every time you hit the magnifying glass, you are actually getting the choices to pick again. And that's across all of the, I'm going to call them the focus reports or the custom. Just going down the list, CPT code by transaction. Now, whenever you see V3, that means I created this report in 3 different flavors or even more. And this is just gives you the CPT code, the description, the date of service, the posting, and the charge. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a video for these reports one by one, and I'm going to add them to the website. I'm going to show you in a minute where I'm going to add them, where you can watch this later on and pick, maybe you're interested in one particular report. Daily provider activity. So this is just shows you provider by provider of what is the activity. Whenever you see calculation at the bottom here, you gotta wait until it's finished. Then at the bottom here, it just shows you the total charges, total payment, and total adjustment. Now we in Medisoft standard, we have something close to this, but this is a very particular format that somebody think that they wanted it, and we did it for them. Get well patient list. This is just to show you a list of patients and their date of birth, which provider they see, and which insurance they have, and what policy they have. I think this is somebody who might have been doing workers' comp with no fault. This is insurance analysis by provider. So this is just shows you insurance by insurance, how many claims you have and what is the percentage of each of the claims. You gotta wait until this is done calculating before I can scroll through the pages. This is the number of claims. Then it's, if the insurance has a secondary, it will list here as a secondary. It will count the number of claims. It will give you the percentage of the total AR for that particular insurance company. So it's finished. I have a 78 pages. So when I go to the last, I get to see here a summary that tells me how many claims I have in primary, how many claims I have in secondary, and what is my average claim value. It's nice to know those type of statistic about your business. It's nice to know what is your claim average, how many claims do you say or you send out, and for which carrier it is, how much primary business, how much secondary business. So those are all valuable data. Not everybody has a need for them. Insurance claim status. So this one is I have to pick an insurance company. I don't have a lot of data here. I'm going to pick Aetna 00 and I can put a date range, but I'm going to leave it blank because this is fake data. And this is going to show me the status of each claim, how many you sent, how many ready to send, how many rejected, and how many denies. Depending on how many status you use, then it will give you a nice summary here for whatever insurance company you're concerned about. And again, if I hit the loop, I'm able to go here and pick a different one. So maybe I'm going to pick Medicare this time. I'm going to hit OK. So it doesn't take you long to recalculate it to see it for each insurance. This is Medicaid summary visits. This is just shows you how many visits you have by patient, then how many of them were Medicaid. So if that patient was a Medicaid patient, it will give you a count here. Then you will get a nice summary here if you want to see what is your percentage of your visits of Medicaid versus everything else. So in this particular, I didn't have any Medicaid, so it comes at 0. Monthly activity summary. Now, whenever you see a date range here, if you turn this on, that means give me all the values. So you don't have to delete it by just turning this on. It's going to give you a value. And if I hit OK, it's going to give me month by month how much I charged, how much I collected payment. Now, as you see, of course, payment comes in negative. It's negative because it reduces account receivable. An adjustment also comes in negative. So charges increases account receivable and payment decreases it, adjustment decreases it. And the net effect is the difference between your positive and your negatives. Then the AR balance is, as of that day, what was your AR balance? And that's important to running a business, knowing what is your AR balance. And this is a nice summary that just shows you how many units, how much you charge, how much you collected, like an executive view of your practice. Now, I understand some of you might be running a billing service, that it's good to show this to your customer depending on what size they are. And sometimes there's a small practices that maybe this is an overkill. Now, this is not for everybody. If you have a need for that, we have it for you. Patient attitration, how often a patient make a visit, and that one is a little tricky because I don't have a date range. So this is just shows me the patient that has not been to the practice for a while. That one is tricky because I need a real data. This is not a real data, and you can filter here by last visit. So if I want to see patient that have not been here since 01/01/2019, but I don't want to have a date here, so this is will give me all the patients that have not been in my practice since that particular day. And this is good for generating revenue to your practice. And it's also good for catching anybody that has not been into your practice and give them a better care because maybe they have a particular disease that they need to come more often or a particular diagnosis. And some of those reports that I have is I can filter by diagnosis or I can filter by age of a patient. So I have a lot of variation of this reports. And sometimes if you like one particular report and I didn't create it in a different way, if you tell me I love this report, but I want it sorted this way or subtotal that way or remove certain information or add certain information, it's a lot easier to customize that report at a lower price than if you have to reinvent the wheel from the beginning. I'm just going to spend a couple more minutes and I can spend hours and hours for this. I'm going to record each one of these reports and I'm going to show you in a minute where it is, but I'm going to go into some of the export data. If you ever had an export data, I'm just going to show you how it's done. So first I'm going to go to billing export. So somebody wanted to dump all their charges and I'm going to hit OK. Now when you do that, you're not going to see the actual data on the screen. It's not designed for a report. It's designed for a spreadsheet. So when you're done with this, you're going to hit print. Then you're going to say, I want to print it to a file, and I'm going to choose, let's say, the text. I'm just going to call this test, and I'm going to save it. Now, when you hit OK, this is going to export all the records. Then now you need to open it in Excel. I'm going to show you how to open it in Excel. So I'm going to come here and open Excel. To open Excel is a little bit tricky. You need to do file open, and I'm going to open from a particular location, but most important, I want to open it as a text file. So you're going to change this to text file. Then this is my cloud shared folder, and this is my Bob test. And it's going to look kind of funny when it comes. So you need to go to next, and you need to change it from a tab to a comma. And once you see it lined up like that, you just hit finish. And now I was able to take my data and able to dump it into Excel. And now I can sort it, I can subtotal it, I can do whatever I want with it. So whenever you're using the custom reports, anything that says export, you will need to treat it that way. I'm going to show you a couple more reports, then I'm going to turn it to Tony. This is just macro related report, dominator and nominator. You can pick a diagnosis, you can remove, you can add more diagnoses, and you can hit add. Then that just shows you patient by patient and it calculates your denominator, if you know what that means. And this is another one that is similar but different format. And this is here MIPS diagnostic export. So that one, it will be an export. I'm not going to do that because I have to go through the steps again. But this one it's an export without a diagnosis. With all the diagnoses, this one with just a particular diagnosis. So those are, if you need to report, if you don't have an EMR, this is how to avoid some penalties if you use those reports. And this is patient visit by count by age. So if I do that one, it will count the range of age less than 35 years old, how many patients, how many visits, and age group, and what's the total number of visits for that particular range of year that you're looking for. And this one is by zip code, by knowing which zip code your patient comes from. It will give you each zip code and how many patients you have. I'm going to jump into payment, then I'm going to open for a few Q&A, then I'm going to turn it to Tony. Activity summary by procedure. It's a really nice report. So this shows you procedure by procedure, how much you charge, how much you get paid, how much you adjusted, the total quantity of each of the procedure, net effect on account receivable, and the percentage of net effect. This is similar, but you're able to pick which procedure you want. So you can just add procedures here. So if I can pick maybe I don't need to see everything. Maybe if I'm a podiatry, I want to see my L3000, so I can dump my L3000. This here is activity summary by class. So this shows me the procedure, my insurance. So it shows me each procedure by insurance. So this procedure was built to Aetna, Blue Cross Blue Shield, Cigna, whatever that is. And if you go to the last page, it will show you grand total. So there's wealth of reports. This is one of my favorite reports, is the deposit breakdown detail. A lot of times we receive payment and I don't know where that payment that I received today or this week or this month, which day of service did it pay. So I have a whole bunch of reports here that shows you that. So let me start with that one. I'm going to hit OK. And this shows you day, month by month, of the money that you received, what date of service did it pay. So for January 2019, this is how much money I charged, this is how much money I collected, and this is how much money I adjusted. So if you're a billing company, this is a really important report. If you're a practice that want to give credit to maybe somebody who hired an AR and you want to see is the money that's coming is a result of all claims, or you might get the feeling, but this just shows you exactly where that money is paying month by month. And of course, when I filter for whatever date range that I want, I will get more specific. So this is payment date. You're not used to see this field in Medisoft because Medisoft doesn't really know the difference between a payment date and a date from, because it uses the same field. But in this report, it's smart enough to know when, if it was a payment, and it treats it as a payment. I have a couple variation of the same report. This one shows me the patient. So it's not just showing me the money that's coming and what it paid, it shows me what patient did it pay. So I get to see the chart number, the name of the patient, the day of service. So let me just go to an older one here, for example. So this was money that I received, let's say, in December 2018, but it was paying all December 2018. This one is February 2019. So if one of these dates happened to be an old date, it will show you here that you just collected money from an older date. Now, this is not a real data, so I get data that you will see much different data when you run this report by you. The next one is also a variation of that. This is by what type, CPT type. So I can filter for CPT code. Again, if I want to filter for particular, and deposit breakdown by what month. This just shows you the summary. So it will show you how much I received within a particular month, how much money I received. So for the month of January, I received the total charges of, against 588 charges, I received 294, and it just breaks it down month by month to show you the money that you've been getting during the period that you ran that report. So this will be my payment dates. What date of service did it pay? What range of day of service that you will pay? We'll break it down here for you. So I have a question, and I'm going to do a quick survey, then I'm going to turn it to Tony. Okay, you don't have to have the cloud to just get those custom report. You can buy any of those reports for only $95. Then I will, I'm always covering reports in a lot of my seminars, and I'm going to put all the reports, not just the custom report. So when you go to MicroWise, I'm going to do a recording for every single report in Medisoft. So if you go to microwise.com and you go to product Medisoft and reports, I have here each report, what it does, and those are standard reports. So anything that you see in here, those are standard reports. So you go into microwise.com, Medisoft reports, and it will explain to you what the report does. This is a screenshot of what the filter is, and this is what the report will look like, the output. I'm going to add a video to this because the video just shows you, I'm going to be talking about each one of this. So it takes a long time to do that. So those are all standard reports that I have. The custom ones, you're going to see a green $ here. So that could be available for cloud, or could be available for, if you buy it individually one by one, it will be a lot cheaper than if you have to design your own report from scratch. So we usually would charge about $395 for designing a report, $295 to customize a ready-made report, a custom report, but you want a variation of it, and $95 if you're taking it as is from stock, it's a royalty fee. But if you have the cloud, you can have any of the reports at no additional charge. So down here, just anything standard, it's already in your system, and it just shows you the input, how to enter the data, and it shows you the output, what it will look like. And I'm going to add a video for each one of those. Now I'm going to do one quick survey, then I'm going to turn it to Tony. And the next question is going to be about sending statements. How often do you send your statements? And the results is 61, they send it monthly. That's good. Unfortunately, the 6% that they never send statement, and I'm hoping that the people that don't send statement, there's cash practices and they don't bill the patient. You have to be careful where collecting payment from patient, because patients have more skin in the game. Deductible is becoming so high, copay is becoming so high, co-insurance is becoming high. And in some practices, I have patients, they're the biggest payer now. They're generating 35% of their practice revenue, and you want to make it as simple as possible to send statement and to collect money. And Tony's going to talk about that a little bit more. The next question is, do you accept credit card in your practice? So 76% they take credit card. That's great. And 20% no. And the next one is, can your patient pay their statement or balance online? 23% yes and 77% no. And the last question is, are you currently using Billflash? 29% yes and 71% no. I didn't expect that answer. I thought the using Billflash is higher than that. Let me introduce Tony Peterson. Tony Peterson is a dear colleague. Worked with him for almost 20 years. He followed Medisoft with all the acquisitions, and right now he's with Billflash. Billflash is one of my favorite vendor. I think it's the best add-on for Medisoft. So I'll let Tony introduce himself.
All right, very good. I will do an introduction of myself real quick. You did a great job, Robert. So just to add on to Robert's introduction a little bit, my name is Tony Pearson. I have spent the last 20 years working with Medisoft and customers, its resellers, and in the last couple months, I have moved on to a new opportunity with Billflash. And just to give you a little bit of the history that I have with Medisoft, I have done everything from support to marketing to product management for 7 years over Medisoft. And I've managed the sales team over Medisoft for a good 6-7 years as well. So I'm intimately familiar with the program, what it's good at, what it's not good at, what the customers are like, what customers are good at, and what they're not good at. And during my time with Medisoft, one of the things that I have seen change significantly is what Robert talked about a little bit there, with the portion of each bill that is the responsibility of the patient. When I first started 20 years ago, the lion's share of all the healthcare dollars that were spent in any practice came from insurance carriers. And with the changes that have occurred in the healthcare market over the last few years, that burden has shifted significantly from insurance carriers over to the patient. The other thing that has happened with that is that there's a lot of practices that have a lot harder time getting that dollar from the patient. And so you hear things like, my reimbursements are declining. I'm not getting paid what I need to get paid in order to keep my business afloat. There's a lot of different things that can occur that will affect the financial viability of your practice, especially when there's a significant market change like we've experienced over the last 20 years. Well, Billflash is a vendor that makes it easy for you to get statements or bills to patients, but then the next part of it is it makes it easy for the patients to actually pay those bills. There's a lot of different things that we can do within Billflash to help enable patients to pay you. One of those things that I will be demonstrating for you today is your Medisoft versions that you have. Most of you, I saw the versions that you had, most of them have the ability to take a payment online from your patients today if you enroll properly. And so after we're done, I'd encourage you to talk to Robert and the MicroWise team, and they can help get you all the information that will help you see which suite of products would be the right ones for you. But in any circumstance, I want to show you exactly how Billflash works. I would guess that a lot of you, if you're not using Billflash right now, you're either printing out the statements on a printer in your office and then stuffing them into envelopes, taking them to the post office, sending them off to the patients and hoping that they do something with it, hopefully pay it. That process is not one that a lot of practices enjoy or like doing. And in fact, some of the user group meetings that I've spoken at recently, the entire room said that they hadn't sent statements in 3 months. And that's something we want to make a whole lot easier for you. And so I'll show you how that's done. In Medisoft, I have Dwight again here open right now, and I've entered in for today an office visit. Now, I have entered this as a cash case because it's the easiest to demonstrate, but this would work the same if it was a patient who receives an insurance charge. It would just happen after the insurance had paid. So let's go into statement management. I have my office visit there for Dwight again for today, and I'm going to create statements. If I leave that blank, it's going to create statements for all of the different transactions that qualify for a statement. And here we see statement number 14 is my Dwight again statement for the transaction that I just created. You'll notice it's there for today's date for the office visit, the total of $60. Once I have my statements in the ready to send mode, if I hit print send, the version of Medisoft that you have right now has both paper and electronic. Electronic is going to send statements, and the word electronic, let me start that one over. The word electronic there could be a little bit misleading. You will still have the ability to send patients paper statements using Billflash. We also have something called eBill, which is an electronic, secure, HIPAA compliant way to send statements, a notification of a statement to a patient, an email or a text or something like that, and then allowing them to go in and view that through a secure portal that is completely HIPAA compliant. So electronic does not necessarily mean that if all your patients are moving to an electronic version of a statement. On a patient-by-patient basis, they can still opt in to whether they want to receive a paper statement or an electronic. But for the purposes of this, we call it electronic because what it's doing is taking away all of the envelope stuffing, all of the stamp licking, all of the envelope sealing, taking it to the post office and sending it off. We're going to do all of that for you. So if I go through and say I want to send statements to Billflash electronically, click OK, and up comes the filter ranges that I'm used to seeing when I send statements in Medisoft. And you will see that those statements will automatically be uploaded to Billflash, and a web browser will be launched that will allow you to go in and review the statements that you've just uploaded before either sending them electronically or via a paper statement that's sent out on your behalf. So if you'll notice here, we've got Dwight again, James Dugan, and Sammy Katera that have each had a transaction or a statement that has been uploaded to Billflash. If I'd like to see that statement, I can click on the statement and it's going to show me an exact replica of what that statement is going to look like when it gets to the patient. One thing that you'll notice is that the statements that come from Billflash look like a real statement and a real bill. That is a big upgrade from the statements that exist within Medisoft right now. If it's printed out on an inkjet printer, it does not look as serious as something like this that comes with an envelope that will allow them to drop that in there. Everything will automatically be filled in for them, and they can pay it very easily. If you don't want to send the statement that has come up, you have the ability to go through and edit the file or reject the file. So if I want to change something based on what's here, I can say, you know what, I don't want to send Dwight again that statement because there's something wrong with it. I'm going to remove it. That'll take it off of there, and then the next time you upload statements, you'll be able to. What if I want to change the color of the statement because Dwight's already gotten one that's black and it's his third time getting a statement? I'd like it to be red. We send it red. Here we also have the ability to say whether we want to send them the secure electronic notification of a statement that they would log into a portal and get, or send them the statement in the mail, or you have the ability to do both. If you send a mailed statement, you will get the ability to send an e-statement or an e-bill for free with what you pay for the mail statement. So a lot of times you'll see that practices will select both because that's going to allow that particular patient to both receive a paper statement and an electronic one, which increases the likelihood that they're going to pay. You can go through and add messages to a statement. So if you wanted to go add a custom message to a particular patient, you could go through and you could do that by clicking here, editing that, and adding a message to this. Once you're done, you can save changes and the file. And once you overnight, the clearinghouse, not the clearinghouse, the print center is going to print out all those statements, stuff them into envelopes for you, and get those off to your patients, the ones that have selected to receive a mail statement. And they're going to send out a notification of an e-statement that the patient would be able to view online if they've opted to do the electronic statement. So getting these statements out is a whole lot easier using Billflash. Now, I want to make sure that everybody knows getting statements out is not the end of statements. The whole purpose of sending statements out is to get paid. So we want to make it really easy for patients to pay you. That's where the Billflash payment services come into play. I'm going to show you the statements that we were reviewing here and show you a couple of different ways that patients can pay statements with Billflash a whole lot easier than with the regular statements that are going out. So if I take a look at a statement, this one's in red because I deleted it, but let me choose a different one. Let's see, this one right here. Here on the statement, you're going to be seeing some numbers up here at the top. The two numbers that you'll want to notice are account number. If a patient receives a paper statement, they can still pay that bill online. If they go to My Provider Link, at My Provider Link, the website that is available right now for anybody who is a Billflash customer with the pay services added on, the patients have the ability to sign up for an account, log in if they've already signed up for an account, or they don't have to even create an account. They can guest pay off of the statement that they've received. So if a patient were to receive a statement, a paper statement, if you remember, we looked at that paper statement here. There's an account number and a form ID. Again, going back over to My Provider Link, if I click guest pay, it's going to ask me for an account number and a form ID. If I enter those in, I will be able to pay that statement without having to create a logon for that patient. That payment is going to go straight into Medisoft for me, and all I'll need to do is apply it. This also integrates with card readers that you can use in your office. So you have the ability then to take in-office payments, over the phone payments, online payments, any type of payment that you'd like to take from that patient. It's a whole lot easier to do using Billflash services. I'm going to cancel out of this and show you how it's done through a sign-in process. I've got this pre-configured here so that James Dugan will show up here as a patient in my account. I've logged into James's account, and you'll see here are the service providers or the practices that James is a patient for. And it'll show all of the bills that James has received from us. So for example, if I wanted to allow James to see a history of all the statements, everything that's there, I no longer have to send him in a report at tax season. I can allow him to come in here and take a look at all of his bills, all of the payments that he's has made through our online portal or in office. And it will show all of those payments along with the date that they were made, the source, the confirmation number, the bill that they were paying. So you can click on that and it'll bring up the statement. And it makes it really a lot easier for James to go and get the information regarding his payments that are there. But not only are we going to make it easy for him to get the information, if you'll notice, it's very easy for James to pay. All he does is come here and click the pay button, choose the amount that he'd like to pay. Say it's $130 is the balance that's there, and he's only going to pay $65 of it right now. This is all I can afford right now. It allows him to save a payment method, either a checking account or a credit card. It does not save the entire account information. It is tokenized and stored on a PCI compliant processor account that is completely separate. You do not bear the burden of maintaining the PCI compliance. This is completely compliant for you. But we're going to use the checking account that's there. We're going to use the CAPTCHA to prove that we're not a robot. Let's see how good I am at finding tractors. Looks like I'm not a robot, so that's good. When I hit submit, that payment is going to automatically process. Once that payment is processed, they're going to receive a confirmation, a receipt, and it's going to be available in their history where they can see that. That's not the end of it, though. What we really need to do is make it easy for you to get those payments and apply them within Medisoft. And that's what I'm going to show you now. Within Medisoft, if I go into the deposit list, you'll notice there's an ePay button down here at the bottom. If I click ePay, if you remember, I did a $65 payment for James Dugan. I'm going to select ePay. It has gone out and fetched. There is a $65 payment for James Dugan. And all I need to do is come in here, take a look at it, verify it, make sure it's okay. There's the confirmation ID. But really what you're going to do is apply that to the charges that are there. So I can go through and say, all right, I owed 2 of those. I'm going to pay 1 of them, save it, and I'm done. So now, not only send out my statements, I've made it extremely easy for those patients to pay that statement online and that statement to flow right into Medisoft where I don't have to go through keying the payment in. All I need to do is apply it. Another huge benefit that comes from utilizing the Billflash services is that throughout Medisoft, you're going to see on all of the major screens buttons that allow you to use the integration with Billflash in a way that really can improve the workflows of your practice. For example, a lot of times a patient will call in and ask a question about their statement, and in the meantime, an insurance payment or adjustment or a take back or something has occurred in Medisoft that's changed the status of the account. You don't have the ability to see the statement in Billflash or in Medisoft anymore. Well, if you're utilizing Billflash and I go into a particular patient, let's see who I have open here right now. I think that I have Dwight again. But if I were to go on to a particular patient in transaction entry or in the quick ledger or in the deposit list, you're going to see buttons all over the place that say view statements. If I click that button, and I was not using a test account for payment purposes, what it would do is load up the last statement that has been loaded into the Billflash account for that particular patient. So let's go back and look and see who else we have. Sammy Katera is one that I haven't messed around with too much. So let's go bring up Sammy Katera and show you how that's going to work. As you see right from inside of Medisoft, Sammy Katera's statement has come up. and you're able to view the last statement that's been uploaded for each individual patient based on which patient is selected within Medisoft. So if the patient calls you and starts asking questions about their statement, you're not having to try to piece together what's happened since the last time they received a statement. You can take a look at the exact statement as they are viewing it. They have the ability to make payments a lot easier through the account number and the form ID that they can go then to myproviderlink.com and make their payments. This integrated statement and payment process, as Robert said, is one of the best products that works with Medisoft today. In the 20 years that I worked for Medisoft, they were by far, we were by far the best vendor that worked with Medisoft. And the integration that is there will increase the collections that your practice makes. It will reduce your AR. We have had practices notice with just implementing only the statement side services anywhere from a 50% to, in some cases, a 200% increase in the patient payments that were coming in on a monthly basis. When you add the payment services to that, it goes through the roof. This product makes Medisoft work wonders. And if you have any questions about it, I would refer you to Robert and the MicroWise team. They are some of the best enabled resellers in the country to help you set this up. Robert, is there anything else that you would want me to cover, or are there any questions that we have that we could go over?
Somebody will help you. So I see a question came up already. Okay, so the question is, what is the cost of the Billflash? I answered that question that by saying how much the cost if you don't have Billflash. It's because Billflash is going to make you money. It's not going to cost you money. Which is, I know this is okay, Tony. I'm sorry. I'll let you answer that.
The other thing that I wanted to say on that is that it depends on the suite of services that you select. You know, it really depends on whether you're doing just statements, you're doing just paper statements, you're doing electronic statements, you're doing office pay, you're doing online pay. There's a different profile that each customer would need to fill out to determine what their cost would be. So I would say the price is something that we can definitely discuss with you, but we need to get a better feel for which services you're interested in before we can say this is what your price is going to look like, because we need to make sure that, especially when you get into the merchant service pricing on the payment side, that we get through it in an understandable way for you, and that we've included everything that you'd need. So if it's something that you're interested in, I would encourage you, let's schedule a meeting. Robert can talk to you. I am happy to jump on any call as well and answer any questions that you have, but let's get a meeting scheduled to create a custom quote for each of you.
Yeah. Now, just to give you like to whet your appetite is, if you do the math, by the time you print your own statement on the ink in your office, on your paper in your office, using your envelope, using the Billflash service, it's going to cost you less if you do all the math. Now, the one thing that's really important about Billflash is I can enable what's called billing cycle in Medisoft. I have practices that uses Billflash that send statement on a daily basis. It takes 30 seconds to send statements. You don't have to lick a stamp. You don't have to get a paper cut. You don't have to print anything. By sending statement, the more statement you send, if you have the billing cycle turned on, the more cash you're going to get, because the cash flow is going to go much quicker. So you don't have to wait until the end of the month to send statement. Then you're going to send 200 or 1,000 statement. Then you're going to get bombarded with phone calls, because no matter how easy the statement is, people are going to call you asking you a question about the statement, and now you're getting bombarded. Now you have a bad taste in your mouth because you can't do any work, because now you're answering calls. But if you're using Billflash and you spread out over your statements, it's going to increase cash flow, and it's going to reduce the burden of receiving all the phone calls that you get from patients. And if the patient it chooses to pay online and get an electronic statement, cost is going to go down. I think it goes down to 25 cents a statement, which is nothing. The stamps alone is 50 cents. Correct me if I'm wrong, Tony. Is that the
it's 55 cents now. So you're exactly right. Other than the stamps just went up to 55 cents per stamp. So if you send the secure electronics statement, you're sending that for 25 cents per statement. That's less than half of the cost of a stamp. And you're not even talking about ink, paper, envelopes, and time.
And paper cut. I love paper cuts. So most people, they just don't do it because it's a burden. If it's a burden, it's patient has your money and they're not paying. They could be your biggest payer now, and it's if you're frequent about sending statement, the patient is going to get used to that, and it's going to pay you more often. If you never send statement or you send it once in a while, now patient don't think you're serious, or patient has that myth that doctors are so rich they don't need the money. They will pay everything except the doctor. And but if you're persistent and you send it more often and even making a phone call, patient will respect that and pay you on time, and it will prevent doctors from selling the practice, because unfortunately some doctors or some billers or some staff are too shy to bill their patients, and they wind up eating it, and now they wonder why the doctor is selling or merging with a larger group, because larger group is going to run it as a business. I know it's a novel career that you are in, but it's a business. I need to get paid, and I need to get paid on time. And if you don't do that, you're going to wind up be owned by a hospital or another larger group. And I want to prevent that from happening.
And there's two other features that if somebody's interested in it, we can do a one-on-one demonstration as well, Robert, that Billflash has that'll help with that. That's auto pay and plan pay, where you can have patients sign up for auto pay through Billflash, which means they're authorizing you to charge their card immediately when a statement is sent out. Imagine what that could do for your practice if all of a sudden you offered to your patients incentives to sign up for auto pay, where a statement goes out and it's automatically paid. Or if you wanted to put someone on a plan pay, you can set it up to automatically take out a set amount of money on a particular day, each day of the month, and it's automatically going to charge it each time that day comes around. So there's a lot of really cool stuff that you can do to make it easier for your practice to collect the money, easier for the patients to make the money. And that's what's going to allow you to stay independent, stay in business.
All right. I want to thank everybody for joining. I know you have a busy practice to run or billing service. I want to thank you for joining us, and I will make the video public, and you can always see it from our website. Thank you, and have a wonderful day, and thank you for your business. Thank you, Tony. You did a great job, and bye, everybody.
Thank you, Robert.